My name is Rachel Moore. I am an Ola, an immigrant to Israel. I am an Orthodox Jewish woman. I am a PR and communications professional. I am a mom. I am a settler. And I am, more recently, also an entrepreneur. I am an Ola. I'll start with that. I came here on my own at 22 years old, having fallen madly in love with this country. There are lots of things about Israel that made me fall in love, but one of them is how small the country is with a burden of relevance. What happens here matters, and individuals matter. People can make a difference, people do make a difference, and individuals count. And from the minute that I fell in love with the country, I knew that I wanted to make this my home, but I also knew that I wanted to make a difference. I am a mom. I have 8 kids, ranging in age from 23 to 3. And I mention that not just because it gives me a chance to brag about the fact that I have 8 wonderful children, but also because being a mom helps us master doing it anyway. Those of us who have kids know that we're told there are things we can't do because we're a woman, because we're a mom, and we have to do it anyway. There are things that we told that we can't do because we live here, and we have to do them anyway. And when you're a mom and you wake up and you're sure that you don't have the energy to get out of bed, and you simply have to do it anyway, then you get really good at it. I am an Orthodox Jewish woman. That's not how I grew up. That's a choice that I made. Although religiousness and a love of Judaism is definitely something that I get from my family and from my childhood. The orthodoxy that I chose, my Orthodox Judaism world, is one that accepts with tremendous humility tradition and Jewish law, but also encourages women in leadership, in scholarship, and in opportunity, and values all of the things that are part of our traditional role while giving us new opportunities every single day. My Orthodox Judaism is also intrinsically connected on every level with this land, with this country that I fell in love with. Everything that we do, we are taught matters, but we're also taught is connected to the land. And the choices that we make are made with the understanding that it is our job to protect and serve and cultivate this land just as much as this land protects and serves us. I am a public relations and communications professional for over 15 years. When I moved here and decided that I wanted to make a difference, I started out working in the public sector so that I could make a difference. I talked and explained and worked in Hasbara, using words, using my English to try to tell the world with attempts at eloquence and with lots of pride why we were making the decisions that we do, why we are a good place, why we are good guys, all of the wonderful things that we're doing in the world. And I left after a short time the public sector to continue in the path of making a difference by working in nonprofits, Jewish nonprofit organizations that are based here and based outside of Israel, also in the vein of wanting to have an impact. And I continued to use words, and I continued to help a lot of other people try to make change and make a difference. But both in government and in the world of nonprofit, I noticed and I learned along the way that there were partners in bringing change and making an impact. And that all of the politicians that I worked with were only as strong as the political backing that they got to help them get into office. And the change that they made came through powerful donations from people in the for-profit world who made money and directed change by where they chose to give it. All the more so in the nonprofit world. The charities with which I worked were doing tremendous work, but they were only as strong as their donors. And while my job was to help cultivate and communicate with those donors, if the donors did not give the money, then the impact could not be made. I'm also a settler, as I mentioned before. That word makes some people a little uncomfortable, but I learned from growing up in the United States that if I'm going to be a Jew and do it anyway, and be a woman and do it anyway, I'm a settler, and I do it anyway. I don't let the fact that that term has negative connotations for some other people stop me. My family chose to move to Neve Daniel, which is a small community about 15, 20 minutes south of Jerusalem, in an area called Gush Etzion in the Judean hills. Part of understanding that individuals matter and that we can have an impact means that even where we choose to live and making decisions makes a difference. And we understood as a family that while the area that we're living in today is still being disputed and the future of it is unknown, that the conversation of what will happen here will not include the consideration of Jews if we as Jews don't choose to be here. Neve Daniel, which many people don't know, is a community that was purchased in the 1930s by one family with a big deed. And the family settled there until there was a massacre and people were chased out. And the land was occupied and Jews could not be there until they slowly started to come back 50 years ago. And we understood that when we chose to make this our home. And all of those things combined, understanding the power of making impact, choosing to live where we do, is what led me to the more recent title of entrepreneur. I, about a year and a half ago, along with my business partner, another mom, Ola, Orthodox Jewish woman, and settler, Amy Shooter, decided to open Hub Etzion, which is the first co-working space in all of Judea and Samaria. A hub, or a co-working space, for those of you who don't know, is a space where more than one company can put their offices and their workers. It combines a conference room, closed offices, open working space. We have a gym, we have delicious coffee, we have a lot of networking, and we have events, and it's a fun place to work. But the idea is that we have freelancers and telecommuters and small businesses and local representatives of larger businesses all working in one location. And the reason that we wanted to open a hub is because we understood from watching Israel that Israel was told, you don't have resources, we aren't going to partner with you, and Israel said, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to make money and we're going to succeed. And not only are we going to bring prosperity and wealth to ourselves on our own, but we're going to do it by making things that improve the entire world. And it was so important to us that this phenomenon, this incredible startup nation, not leave Judea and Samaria behind. And we understood that hubs and co-working spaces, which are collaborative and cooperative and dynamic, are considered an ecosystem, a petri dish for that kind of innovation for Startup Nation, and wanted to make sure that that was happening in Judea and Samaria as well. I want to tell you a secret that people don't know. There are large, internationally successful companies with an IP address in New York or somewhere else in the world, and employees everywhere that are working out of Gush Etzion. They're working out of Judea. And nobody knows. And they're succeeding, and they're hiring people, and they're bringing money in, and they're spending money around the world, and they're doing it quietly from a small office. I believe very strongly that the day will come in the not too distant future when a company doing incredibly innovative and positive things, working in Gush Etzion, in Hub Etzion, with a fake IP address that tells you they're in New York, is going to be doing some cooperative, collaborative business with a fake IP address company in New York that's actually sitting in Bethlehem. And that not only are they going to bring commerce and prosperity to themselves and their families and their communities, but they are going to find creative solutions for working together that will be faster and more effective than any politician sitting in a boardroom and fighting over lines on a map. But aside from all of that, going back to my experience of learning how to make impact, when we made a decision to create such a community building endeavor, empowering other business people, we were encouraged to do so as a nonprofit. Surely you can get donations from around the world to help you as women starting a business, to help you get other businesses off the ground. And we were adamant that we were going to make money and not apologize for it. And the reason for that is because while I was working in PR and Hasbara, nonprofit and communications, there was a movement that was springing up around me that was also using narrative to try to make change, called BDS. And that movement said that the conflict here and the dispute here is black and white. There's a good guy and a bad guy, and it's super clear, and you don't need to stop and try to learn the facts. What you need to do is choke the economy and starve everybody's ability to succeed and make money, and somehow that's going to bring about a solution. And we felt so strongly that the only true response to a boycott is to build. And the only true response to saying divest is to say invest. Invest in Startup Nation, invest in people, invest in companies, invest in potential, invest in possibility. So yes, we make money and we don't apologize for it, and we encourage the people around us who come into the Hub to make money and grow their business and succeed, because we know the prosperity and success and forward thinking is the best thing for everybody living in the region. There are many people who don't agree with that approach, and we are unapologetic for a reason. We invite the conversation. Anyone who doesn't agree that the appropriate response to BDS is to build and to invest and to grow and to succeed, I invite you to come out. Come to the Hub, have one of our great cups of coffee, and sit and talk with me, argue with me, challenge me. I would love an opportunity to tell you why we do what we do and why it's good for all of the people living where I do. And for those of you who do agree, I would encourage you also, continue to give to charities, continue to donate, but also take the time to invest. Invest in companies, invest in people, invest in potential, and invest in the future so that we can stand up and we can do it anyway. Thank you.